It's time to pack up those backpacks, get that graphing calculator charged. Maybe they charge these days, I don't know, but we are going back to school with iOS apps you don't want to miss. Stay tuned.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of iOS Today is brought to you by Udacity. Gain in-demand tech skills in as little as 3 months with Udacity's part-time online tech courses. Visit udacity.com/twit and get 75% off any program with code TWIT75. Limited time offer. Hello and welcome to iOS Today, the show where we talk all things iOS, iPadOS, tvOS, watchOS. It's all the OSs that Apple has on offer here on iOS. I am one of your hosts, Mikah Sargent.
And I am Rosemary Orchard.
Hello, Rosemary. How are you today?
Oh, I'm good. I've been looking forward to this because, until recently I was doing, higher education, studying sort of master's level courses, which was, great fun, very useful. And now I can share all that information with people because it is the season to do so.
'Tis the season. We ring our school bells, sharpen our pencils, and lay out some eraser shavings and glue for the school guy Santa. That's what we're calling him. For school guy Santa and all of his little... I don't know. I know. Frogs for anatomy class. That's school guy Santa.
There we go. Yeah.
We're celebrating the back to school holidays. And in doing that, we thought we could talk about some different apps that you as a student and also you as a parent of a student or guardian of a student can use in going back to school and in picking up that thing we all love again, which is homework.
Yes.
But good apps to talk about. And in fact, the first one that you had listed in the sheet, I'm very excited to hear you talk about because this is one that I fondly remember from my uni days. I ended up sharing, and I said uni for you, Rosemary. That was just for you.
Thank you.
I remember telling my friends about this app and saying, like, you've got to get this. It's so great. It does all of these things. And it can be very helpful for organizing your schedule, as it were. So tell us about this first one that you've got on the list.
Well, the first one I've got on my list, it got me through my first degree. It got me through my second degree. And then it got me through my master's studies as well. So I can give this one a 10 out of 10 recommendation. And this is iStudiez Pro. Now, there's a free version of iStudiez and there's, a pro version. And I'm using the pro version because I used the free version and it was just great. And what I love about this is it can integrate with your calendar. So to start with, you can input all of your exams and your classes and assignments and everything. And then it's got a calendar integration as well. And you can see this is the main view, the today view. I've got no exams today. This is what's on my timetable / in my calendar. And this is, my assignments due in the next 5 days. Now, I've just filled this in with sample data because I'm not actually studying right now. So, of course, I don't have any data to input there. But it's really good that it's got all of this. And then, of course, you've got a calendar. So you can see some days look busier than other days. Like, for example, last Saturday, there was nothing in my calendar. Last Sunday, apparently I had Spanish too. Good to know. Good to know. I was not in Spanish too. Hola. But I think I'll probably do okay. And you can filter it by timetable and assignments and so on. And then, of course, you've got your assignments view, and then you've got a planner with your current semester. And this is really where the core of the data goes. And the idea is you go in here once at the start of the semester, you set everything up, you add all of your different classes. So you add your semester, you add your classes, and then you input all the data about your different classes. So you've got, your actual classes, the sessions that you need to go to. You've got all your assignments that you might need to do. So, for example, I did my math homework on August 5th. Good to know. 2 + 2 is 4, I think. Possibly. I'm not sure. Wait, what base are we using? Anyway. Yes, exactly. And apparently I've got a midterm on October 17th. So don't let me forget that one, Micah. Don't let me forget that. If I miss my multivariable calculus midterm, I'm going to be in trouble. But so, you need to sit down and set up your data, but this is actually really good. Just as a productivity tip at the start of the semester, you need to sit down, whether you are a high school student, a college student, somebody who's been in the workforce and is now going back and doing some studying. You need to sit down and you need to, spend an hour, collate all of your deadlines, all of your exams and everything, turn it into one big planner. And so you know what's coming at you, because there is nothing worse than going, la, 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 everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine. Oh my God, I have 15 assignments and 4 exams in a week. That is the worst feeling in the world. Never let that sneak up on you. And with something like iStudiez Pro, you're going to be able to do that, because it will just, help you get on top of it and stay on top. You can assign different colors to different classes as well. If I go into, this is a regular class, you can also have single classes. There's also options for online classes. I should note, it did have this before the pandemic. When does it start? When does it end date-wise? And then, the times. And you can also have something repeat multiple times a week. So say, for example, this is on Thursdays and Saturdays now. And input, locations, buildings and rooms, and teachers. And you can add multiple teachers for this as well. So really, it's kind of setting itself up to be a one-stop shop. Mm-hmm. Now, this doesn't directly integrate with any of things like Moodle or those online learning systems, which universities and colleges around the world use. But that said, all of those should have a calendar export option where you can subscribe to an ICS calendar on your iPhone or iPad. Pro tip, if you subscribe to it in your iCloud account, it will actually appear everywhere. And then you will actually just be able to see that right in that calendar view, which is great. I really love doing that. But yeah, the iStudiez Pro seriously got me through a lot of higher education. It's on iOS, macOS, Windows, Android, Apple Watch, you name it, it's everywhere. Which just makes it an even better option for people, because it doesn't matter what platform you're using, you will be able to get it. I think that makes it a great selling feature.
It's truly an incredible app. Are those clickable up there at the top that say like integration? And yeah, can we choose integration? I'm curious what they have there, because I think when I used it at the time, integration with your calendar. I liked, because I live and die by my calendar, and so being able to pop all of this information into iStudiez and then be able to drop it into my calendar automatically, which is where I get my alerts and notifications to, hey, go to this class, or you have to be here at this time. All of that came together to work really well. And then that you could track your grades, because all of that information you can pop in and keep track of your grade point average over time. And I just think that this is such a brilliantly designed, purpose-built app that, as you said, got you through these 3 different periods of your life. And it's very cool how well this works. So even if you're not a student yourself, if you've got a student who's just starting out in university, or is taking on some more stuff, you might consider gifting this app to them to help them out with staying organized. And once you get it set up, it kind of can work on its own. So it's not, while the initial job of getting everything plugged in might feel a little bit cumbersome, after it's all done, the benefit that you get from it all being in there is very nice. And then you just have, and I think that that's also part of the productivity benefit of it, is that it is all in one place. So you're not kind of scrambling between multiple things to try to keep up with, did I write that class assignment down? Did I put it in this app? Did I put it in that? If you do it all from iStudiez, which is what they want to, have you do, then it works really well for that. So definitely worth downloading the free version and giving it a go and seeing if Pro is right for you.
Yes, definitely. And whatever your system ends up being, please, if you take nothing else away from this episode, setting up a system is incredibly important to success for your education. Whatever that system is, set something up and use it and stick with it and change it next semester if it's working for you. If it works for you, then work with it. So, yeah.
And then we'll have you continue with yours, and then we'll take a break. And after we come back from the break, I'm going to show you a few apps that you can use, particularly if you need help with homework and if you are in need of certain expensive gadgets that are often required for certain subjects in school. So, Rosemary, tell us about the next one that you have.
Well, the next one I want to mention is just an alternative to iStudiez. It's not one that I've heavily used, but it's one I keep seeing recommended. And this didn't set itself up with sample data for me, which is a bit of a shame. But this is Class Timetable Schedule app. And so it can give you this overview. And this is what I liked about it. So I did a little bit of playing around with it, and it seemed pretty good. So, it's got classes, homework, tests, and notes, and so on. So you can just chuck everything in here and you'll get that as an overview. And of course, you've got all of your different classes and everything that you can set up, which is a great one. But the next thing I wanted to talk about actually is a service. It comes with an iPhone and an iPad app as well, but really it's the online service that seals the deal, which is the Khan Academy. I know that a lot of the time my lecturers expected me to know stuff, and sure, I'd studied this before 10 years ago or whatever, because I came back and I did a second degree as an adult and so on. And so you're expected to know complex mathematical functions, which, I mean, in my case, it was a different language, which certainly complicates matters. But, whatever it is, you might want a refresher. Maybe your professor didn't explain it in a way that you quite understood, whatever. Khan Academy is here to save the day, because Khan Academy has got so much stuff in all different classes and everything. It doesn't matter what you're studying, pretty much. Obviously, it's mostly oriented towards technical things like maths and so on. But they've got art history, US history. They've got reading and language arts and everything in here. And it's free. I mean, it's great. You can donate. I would recommend if you use their content. I personally have donated several times because it saved me. I would have gone insane without Khan Academy. But oh my gosh, this was so useful. I use it mostly for maths, just because complex mathematical functions take a while for me to grasp. Once I've got them, I'm great, but getting there for me can take a while. And having an extra professor, I'm not suggesting that your professors will suck or your teachers aren't great, but having the ability to have something explained to you in another way is great. And of course, if Khan Academy doesn't do it for you, maybe YouTube's got the answer, which is another app which can be used for fun as well as education. But Khan Academy is definitely a great one that I think everybody should just sign up to and have ready at their disposal whenever they need it.
Nice. Yeah, Khan Academy, super popular and created by and continually maintained by some really great folks who are sort of masters in pedagogy. They know their stuff and continue to impress. So I am not surprised that made your list. All right, tell us about this next one. I hear some good stuff about this one.
Oh my gosh, I use this all the time. When I say all the time, I mean not this February, the February before, I was in Barcelona, actually doing studying. I was doing a workshop with some other people, and it was really useful. The time before that, I used it on a programming training course that I went on for work. And this app is Notability, and Notability is a great app for note taking with your Apple Pencil or any kind of stylus. Ideally, Apple Pencil or Logitech Crayon type thing, a good stylus that connects to your iPad and has that hand rejection. Because with Notability, of course, I can just tap on the pencil and create a note. I can also pop into paper settings and I can choose lined, grid, dots, and so on. But what you can also do, you can import a PDF. Or if you want to, you could go ahead and take a picture of something. So say, for example, you're in class, the professor doesn't give you the slides. Well, you take a picture of the slide, you tap use photo, and then you can just draw all over it. And I'm just going to say yes there. And then I can, circle this thing here because that's super important to me, and underline this here. I've got a little bit of the show notes there, and so on. And I just really like this. What I also like is this right here. There's a horizontal line on my screen. Now, for some of you, you might be going, what's that? I don't understand. This is the end of a page, and that's the top of the next page. I don't know about you, Micah, but on physical paper, I always have problem writing right at the bottom of the page. And it's the same on a screen, especially because the iPad's a bit thicker than a piece of paper. I struggle to write right at the bottom edge of the iPad. Well, with endless scrolling, it's not a problem. And then afterwards, I can actually go ahead. I've got thumbnails here, and I'm just going to scribble again in black. And I will use a much bigger option here so that people can see. In my thumbnails, you can see that's right at the bottom, right at the top. So I'm really making the most of the space,
nice,
which is great. Now, the advantage of Notability is a lot of people retain notes much better handwritten. If you're anything like me, though, handwriting notes means I've got 8,001 pieces of paper. And where did that one go that I wrote on for this class? And I'm sure I wrote down something about this. So this really combines digital and analog in, I think, one of the best possible ways. Of course, it's then really easy to go ahead and you can share this. You can either create a public link to it, or you can share it as a plain old PDF. And you can select which pages to share as well. So if, I don't know, you wrote, Micah is amazing and I love him in the middle of your notes, and you go, oh, I didn't want to send that page to Micah, then you can just uncheck that page and not share that.
It's okay, everyone. You can send that page to me. I will appreciate it.
I know. But, you know, maybe you wrote something like, I really don't get what the professor is saying here. Then that's actually something that you probably should do. Why should you do that? Well, the answer is simple. There's a microphone. And Notability can record, and you can see as I talk, the blue in the recording button is going up and down. And this means if I then go ahead and I'm just going to change my notes here and I write something. Okay, so this is obviously some amazing notes that I'm taking right here.
Wow, brilliant.
I'll give myself a bit of space. I know, right?
I never considered that, honestly. Yeah.
No. But now when I play, then it starts, so it's grayed out, right? And then when I tap on it, it jumps to that section. And I'm sorry, it's coming out of my speakers for some reason, so you're getting a bit of bleed through from me talking back. But as it plays, you can see, words come to life. Now, this is actually really useful if you've, written as you go, especially over a longer period of time, because you can scroll through and tap the play and go, right, this is the bit where I got stuck, because maybe you just drew a big circle around it. And you go, this is the bit where my brain wandered, I lost attention, whatever, doesn't matter. You can tap back and you can listen again to what they were saying when you took those notes. And that is where I really love it. Whenever my professors shared a PDF, I would always import the PDF here in advance so that I could write. You can easily add extra pages as you go through. So say, for example, they've got the PowerPoint displayed, which you've imported as a PDF, and then they go off on a board to the side and they draw a diagram and they break it down where you can, either draw it yourself or cheat and take a photo. Take photos. I love the fact that you can just take a photo. The iPad doesn't have an amazing camera, and sure, you're going to feel like a bit of a dork sitting there with a 12.9-inch iPad Pro pointing to the board or whatever it is. I mean, if people want my advice, I would suggest the iPad Air is actually probably a really great device for this, because it's smaller and it's cheaper. Uses the new Apple Pencil, unlike my iPad Mini, which is using the old Apple Pencil. But it's got enough space for you to really take notes, especially if you use it in landscape mode. This application, along with iStudiez, is genuinely how I took all of my notes. I didn't use it in my first degree because my first degree I had an iPad 1, Micah. There was no Apple Pencil back then. I did use some great dictionaries, which have got better since then, the Collins Learning Dictionaries. But This app really, for me, has the full feature set. If people are looking for something a bit different, you could try GoodNotes. But this app, honestly, you've got all of your different books in the sidebar. So say, for example, I've got OmniFocus book, I've got journals. Here's some stuff from my Masters of Computing that I did. And a training course that I went on, which I think some of these notes might be in Germany. No, they are not in German. Sorry. They were written in Germany, but they're not in German. As you can see here, I was just sitting there and I took a photo of what was on the board. This was actually a file that the tutor had open, and I took a photo of it. I took some more photos of some slides and chucked them in and wrote my own notes as I went. And I've got all the different colors. I use this app regularly. It is wonderful. it's only $8.99, which is honestly an amazing price.
Yeah, for what it can do, I think that's an incredible price. Literally, there is something to be said for the contextual recording that you were talking about in terms of our ability to learn things. When we can tie multiple senses to a bit of learning, it actually helps our brain catalog and store that information and recall that information when we need to. So they're getting at something with this feature where recording a lecture and taking notes on the side as you're doing it actually is a fantastic way to actually absorb information, to properly absorb information. And in your case where, the case that you mentioned rather, where you write like, I don't really know what was going on here, then those office hours that nobody ever seems to make use of with professors, you could go in during those office hours and say, okay, I really don't get it. Here's here's where I stumbled. And then even the professor can be reminded, oh, right, this is what we were talking about at that time. So Notability is kind of, giving yourself a superpower as you are learning, for sure.
Yeah, I've just noticed in the chat room, some people are talking about Microsoft OneNote. Microsoft OneNote is a great alternative. What I dislike about Microsoft OneNote personally is the infinite canvas size. Now, you might be going, this is amazing. But when I was studying in person, that feels like a very, very long time ago, I was sat next to somebody. So I had a 12.9 inch iPad Pro, and I was sat next to somebody using a Surface with the Surface stylus. And he was using OneNote. I was using Notability. And every time we had to share our notes, his would, there would be this much text on a page this wide, and then the next page would suddenly be massive and so on, just because, he'd zoom in to draw a diagram. When he's zoom back out, obviously you're working very, very quickly because professors talk very, very quickly, and they're drawing because they know everything. They're professionals. They're smart people, which is wonderful, and I love that. His notes were very much all over the place. So whenever people could, they always picked my notes and said, "Rose, can I have a copy of your notes, please? Because I missed this section," or whatever it was. And I love that you can easily share those notes as well. But OneNote is a great alternative for that if people are looking for something. And OneNote, of course, is free, which is great. $8.99 I personally feel is very affordable for something that I paid for once a long time ago. I have more than got my $8.99's worth of money out of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right. And what's this last one that you've shared here?
Well, the last one is maybe more for people who are studying music, or maybe you are looking this year to pick up the guitar. OnSong is a great app which has just come up with several things for me. There we go. Which can allow you to learn more than just Wonderwall on the guitar. Please do everybody a favor. If you're going to pick up the guitar, acoustic is great because you don't need to plug it in, obviously, but learn more songs than Wonderwall. But OnSong is a great app. There's a free version and a pro version. The pro version is $36. I've personally been using this a very long time, so I think I got it cheaper a long time ago. But as you can see, there's a little tutorial, and it can, when you tap on a note, it will show you how to play that on the guitar. Then you can go ahead and you can write your own things. You can import songs as well. And so you can build a book of songs, which is great if you actually want to, do a little bit more and maybe play a set or something. I just find that this app is great. And I'm sure a lot of people will be looking to pick up a new hobby this coming year. A lot has happened over the last 18 or so months. So it's a good time to pick up something new. And I personally love the guitar. I picked one up when I went off to university, and I did not regret it. This was the app that I used. If you are looking for somewhere to store all of your music for guitar, OnSong is a great place. And when you tap on the notes, it shows you a chord. I believe it can also be transformed for the ukulele.
I was about to ask that.
Yes, you can. I will just pop my screen back up. And you can say instrument, guitar, piano, 5-string, 4-string, ukulele, baritone, mandolin, and a banjo. So if you want to learn the banjo,
I've always wanted to learn the banjo.
You can also change the key of things. So something is, say, in the key of C, and you think, I don't know, like this is maybe out of your singing range, you could say, okay, I'm going to put it into A and see what happens there. Of course, your sharps and your flats are going to change. That might make things more complicated, but that's what music theory classes are for.
Very cool. Very cool. That's OnSong or OnSong.
OnSong.
OnSong. Yeah. It's almost like ensemble. Cool. All right. Well, we are going to take a quick break before we come back with a few apps that I have to recommend to you. But I do want to tell you about Udacity. How appropriate we're talking about Udacity, who is sponsoring this week's episode of iOS Today. Udacity offers a unique part-time online education program geared for those who are looking to take their tech knowledge to the next level with specialized and exciting content. Udacity offers the latest cutting-edge nano degree programs. These are super cool, these nano degree programs where you can really hone in on something specific and learn what you're looking for. And many of these are not available anywhere else, including AI, deep learning, flying car and autonomous flight engineer, yes, intro to self-driving cars, machine learning engineer, and robotics software engineer. To create the course content, Udacity partners with industry leaders such as Microsoft, Google, IBM, AWS, and more. And get this, they select team leads at top companies to be the instructors. If you love learning and are always looking to know more new tech stuff, well, Udacity is for you. Udacity can help you master the latest tech skills and techniques. The courses are project-based with active learning that covers cutting-edge technology and lets you test your knowledge. Homework and projects are reviewed by qualified professionals, actual human beings, and you'll have real human feedback and reviews with access to mentors 24/7. Udacity's flexible schedules mean you can put in just 5 to 10 hours a week, working at your own pace any time of the day or night, and still graduate in as little as 3 months. The World Economic Forum estimates that 75 million jobs will be replaced by automated processes within the next 3 years. Udacity prepares its students for the jobs of the future. More than 14 million people in more than 240 countries now use Udacity. You can check out their detailed course listings at udacity.com. Now, once you enroll as a student in a specific course offering, you'll be prompted to view the online course as well as complete a series of projects and support courses. They offer flexible payment options, and you can learn at your own pace and schedule. Also, we should mention that Udacity has some free courses available, so you can kind of dip your toe in and see if this is right for you. I think you'll be surprised. I think you'll really enjoy how incredible these courses are. Oh, and for those of you out there who have teams, maybe your team needs to master cutting-edge technologies like data science, AI, and cybersecurity. Well, with Udacity for Enterprise, you can upskill your entire workforce with real-world project-based learning. All you do is check out the Enterprise section of Udacity's website today. Get the in-demand tech skills you need to advance your career. Visit udacity.com/twit and get 75% off. What? Hold on. What? Huh? Did I say 75%? That's incredible. Visit udacity.com and get 75% off any program with code TWIT75. This is a limited time offer. That's udacity.com/twit and enter TWIT75. Thank you so much to Udacity for sponsoring this week's episode of iOS Today and for that 75% off deal for our listeners. Just incredible. Wow. Wow. Anyway, Udacity, really awesome. I took a sort of a learn to code course or a beginner's coding course, and it involved some HTML and CSS to kind of get you started as you start to dip your toe in, and then having it reviewed by a real human being. It was a little scary at first, but it was also helpful, and it also made it so that I came back. It's like, oh man, somebody's sort of counting on me, and so I ended up going back and sticking to the schedule that I'd set up. Very neat stuff. All right, let us get back to the show so that I can talk to you about a few apps here. The first one I want to mention is a free app from Microsoft, and it is called Microsoft Math Solver. So the reason I wanted to talk about this one, well, there are many reasons. One, it's just very helpful in general. But what this does is it helps you understand all sorts of different math problems and math homework. And I think about when I was in school, I have 3 younger siblings. And so I was a lot closer to the study of math than my mom was, for example. So when my younger siblings needed help with their math homework, I was the person to, be able to give them some guidance on it. And then my sister, who's younger than me, was able to give guidance to my younger siblings, and so on and so forth. But if you are a guardian or a parent, or, you are helping anybody kind of learn math, it can be kind of difficult because the way that we teach and the stuff that we teach changes over time. So this can also be a really helpful reminder. But what I like about Microsoft Math is that it has some built-in smarts so that you can actually learn how to solve a problem using even just your handwriting. So got some props here.
Mikah came prepared.
I did. So let's say I had a math problem that was 4, and some of you might be able to do this in your head. It's fine. 4x minus 2 equals 14. I didn't want to just do random ones because then they would kind of be an unclean result. And so I found some easy math equations online to work with. So I've written 4x minus 2 equals 14. I'm going to choose take your own picture. It asks, can I use your camera? Absolutely. And then I will sort of select the area that I'm after, and I will hit the shutter button, and it scans it. And it determines, that is 4x minus 2 equals 14. And then instead of just giving you the answer, check this out. It walks you through solve for x, view solution steps. So the first thing you do, because what you do to one side, you have to do to the other, is add 2 to both sides. And so then you get 4x equals 16. And then it says add 14 and 2 to get 16. So that's even, I kind of skipped that step in my head. And then divide both sides by 4. So we divide both sides by 4. And our final answer is x equals 4. And then it goes as far as to graph the answer for you. It shows you some similar problems so that you can kind of see how other ways this could be written. And also there's a little quiz button, which lets you work out the quiz, which lets you practice using a quiz. And then what is this? Under videos, these are from Khan Academy. That's right. They have integrations with Khan Academy to show you solving systems of linear equations, how linear equations work, et cetera, et cetera. And then they also have related concepts and even some worksheets that you can find. So let's do one more just because. We'll do 5x minus 8 equals 12. I should have looked up like a 2 equation. I mean, a 2 variable equation. But anyway, so then we'll take a snap of this. And once again, after it scans, it can walk us through those steps. So add 8 to both sides, add 12 and 8 to get 20, divide both sides by 5. And once you do, you get 4. X equals 4. So this is
if you want to test it on something with two variables, Micah, I have an equation for you.
Let's
if you
do
like.
it. Let's do it.
All right. Minus 2x.
Minus 2x.
Minus 4y.
Minus 4y.
Equals 7.
Equals 7. All right, here we go. Can it solve it? Yes, it can. So once again, scanning. You can change the focus area, so it shows solve for x and solve for y independently. So x equals minus 2y minus. Wait, did I write that down right? Minus 2x minus 4y equals 7.
Yes, this is from Utah College, I believe, utah.edu.
Got it. Okay, so
the slope should be 2/3.
Okay, and then we've got the graph here showing the solution there in graph form. So what I love about this is not only can we do the scanning here to kind of see some math equations, but we can also draw right here on the screen. So I could do 5x minus 8. And if I was on an iPad, Wow, that's not very good. Then I could use the Apple Pencil as well. And you can see at the top, it's processing what I'm writing, and it got it, 5x minus 8 equals 12. You can also type, and it has the different options there for creating square roots, for creating fractions, for creating exponents, etc. And then here on the left is notes. So it shows you some options to try with images, some of the problems that are here, so you can see what's available. Then you can take a quiz, as I mentioned before. You can see the history of the things that you have solved whenever you're doing it, and you can save bookmarks of the videos that you look up and the different notes that you take. All of that available within the Microsoft Math Solver app. And so this is, again, it's not just a... it's not just some kind of app it's for, getting your homework finished because you can't figure it out. It actually can walk you through the steps. And that ends up being the big thing whenever you're at home and you are genuinely trying to do your homework, but you can't remember what the steps are that you take. Having that there and being able to see, oh, right, that's what I was supposed to do is really cool. And then, Anthony, could you scroll back up just to show the part where it's talking about different things? Yeah, it's got calculus, pre-algebra, algebra, and trigonometry all available to help you figure these out using the Microsoft Math Solver app. So that is Microsoft Math Solver. The next one I want to talk about is one of my favorite apps or services just in general. It's called Wolfram Alpha. And you may be familiar with the Wolfram Alpha website. The app is available for $2.99. And it is a great app for all sorts of just things that you want to know. This has been a while back now, but we used to have a show on the network called Triangulation. And on Triangulation, I got to speak with, I can't think of his first name now, but Mr. Wolfram, about a book that he had written. And as we were talking, he showed me some of the fun things that you can do with Wolfram Alpha. And one of the things that he showed me was taking a photo of a Pokemon and converting that photo into a graph and then showing the formula that would be required to be able to graph a Pokemon on a graphing calculator. Silly stuff, but really cool that you can do these things with this program. One of the things that I like to use it for is sort of comparisons. So say you've got, you're trying to, you get this number like 52,000 pounds, and you are trying to kind of conceptualize what 52,000 pounds actually means. And so if I type in 52,000 pounds, it says, first of all, it lets you know kind of how it's thinking. It says, I'm assuming that pounds is a mass measurement whenever you say LBS, which I do mean that. So it inputs the interpretation as 52,000 pounds, and then it shows these different unit conversions. So 52,000 pounds is equal to 23,587 kilograms, and then some other information there. And then this is my favorite. Comparisons at mass. So it's 0.25% of the cargo mass capacity of a Boeing 747-200F aircraft, or 0.3 times the mass of a large dinosaur. So about 0.3 of the mass of a large dinosaur. So
it's a small dinosaur?
So it's equivalent to a rather small dinosaur, which is, these are just, in the end, not super important, but I do like that you can kind of, that helps me conceptualize like 1/3 the size of a dinosaur, of a T-Rex, say, oh, okay, that's what 52,000 pounds is. And I wonder if I do this. This is one of the fun things too, is that you can kind of experiment. Let's see what it does if I type this in. So I did, okay. I wanted to see if I could get it to compare to how much like an elephant is.
Maybe if you write, because one of Wolfram Alpha's great utilities is that you can just write elephant equivalent or something, and it's really smart at figuring it out. Stephen Wolfram, the person who came on Triangulation to talk about it, really put a lot of work into this.
Yes, there we go.
It's episode 425 of Triangulation from December 2019 for anybody who's looking for it. And it was an excellent episode. I'd recommend going back and listening if you're at all interested.
Adventures of a Computational Explorer, a really cool app. And then you can also, I should just mention that it's also very helpful for just popping in equations and math stuff. It's just that this thing does so much more than that. If you go to their website, it has step-by-step solutions for math, help with algebra, plotting, but check this out in science and technology. It can help you out with earth sciences, materials, in society and culture. You can look up people. You can look up your birthday and see things that maybe happened on that day, what the moon phase was, and then different aspects of everyday life, including, nutrition information. And there's so much in here. It's just fun to go in and play around. Yeah, click on surprises. What happens if we do that? So sometimes it has jokes. It's got some conversations. It's got the Einstein curve, Dr. John Zoidberg-like curve. Those are references to pop culture. So there's the Einstein curve, and you could see, again, here's an equation, or here's a way to plot Einstein on the curve, and that is what it looks like to get that parametric equation to make Einstein show up on the graph. So anyway, Wolfram Alpha, super cool, very interesting, and full of fun stuff to play around with. And then the last thing I want to mention is students. One of the things that if you take certain math classes, you end up having to purchase or come across a graphing calculator. And at least at my school, whereas some of us did buy our own graphing calculators, the school also made available graphing calculators that you could use in class. But for those students who then went home and didn't have access to a graphing calculator, because they are expensive, it would be difficult for them. Sometimes they'd have to make an arrangement with the teacher to be able to take home that graphing calculator, et cetera. And so there have been several different programs out there that have looked to kind of solve this. And one of those is Desmos graphing calculator. This app is a graphing calculator app, quite literally. Desmos makes a graphing calculator app and a scientific calculator app. And then I recently found in the App Store, they also have a test mode graphing calculator that will it requires some work on the teacher's part to be aware of the fact that it is designed to not let you kind of cheat on a test. And so it locks the functions to certain things. But that gives students who may have a phone but do not have a graphing calculator the ability to use a graphing calculator, particularly whenever the teacher says, bring it in for the test or if they run out. What I love about this the Desmos graphing calculator is that it has these great examples in here so that you can kind of get started and remember, we're talking about trigonometry, and in trigonometry, we're talking about phase, for example, and it'll show you cosine x minus p, and then you can change the value of p to show how it shifts the wave cosine of x, and then it has some other information there too. So you can hide the actual mathematical representation and just show the graph. There are settings for removing or adjusting these different things, and you can also add other variables and inputs as you need to. So there's lots of great stuff in here that makes this a really powerful graphing calculator. And frankly, one of the things that we did in our class was actually tutorials on how to use the dadgum graphing calculator in the first place. And so then the teacher kind of became a troubleshooter who was like, you're supposed to hit this button and this button and this button and this button, then hit that button, and then it should help you get the answer that you're looking for. And sometimes that didn't work. So then the teacher would have to take a look at the graphing calculator and see if you messed with the setting or what happened. That can get complicated. That's what I like about this, is that it's a lot simpler to use than some of the magical series of buttons you had to press to get something working. So yeah, that's Desmos graphing calculator. And as I said, available for free, no in-app purchases. This was quite literally purpose-built to be a free graphing calculator that you can use as you need for school. So that brings us to the end of this segment of iOS Today, where we talk about some apps for back to school and some apps for helping students, kids, etc., or yourself as you go back to school. I think Rosemary and I both wish you well in your studies, and hope that these apps and others are helpful to you. And of course, feel free to write in if you've got apps that you suggest, and we would be happy to take a look and or talk about them in future episodes.
Yeah, just quickly before we move on, I do just want to suggest, if you are going off to college now and you think, oh, I never lose my keys, I never lose stuff, it's fine. All of your routines and habits are changing. Get some AirTags. Okay, just do yourself a favor, buy some AirTags, get somebody to buy them for you as a present, and then you won't lose your keys and stuff, because everything's going to be in different places anyway.
Yes.
I say this as somebody who managed to leave 3 things in the house earlier today and walked out and then came back in and couldn't find them. My phone just directed me straight to them. I could make them ring, but it also just told me, like, they're on the sofa right there. It's like, oh, okay, great, grab, go, done. And I'm usually very organized, so AirTags for everything.
Alrighty, let us move on to the news for the day. The first piece of news is about 12 South, who makes the excellent PlugBug. They have come out with a new PlugBug charger. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so basically the idea of this PlugBug charger is it's a 20-watt USB-C charger. So it's just like the one that you could get from Apple for charging your iPhone with the MagSafe charger at full speed. Only it's slim and it lies flat to the wall and everything. This is the sort of thing that is just great to have, for travel and so on. If you're traveling within the US, I know I will be picking up one of these whenever I next go to the US for my travels there, because it's the kind of thing that you can just keep in a small pocket in your bag. It'll work for the iPhone, iPad, and even the HomePod Mini. So if the charger that you've got or the plug that you've got for the HomePod Mini is not working so great for you because it's sticking out a bit too far from the wall or the cable's running in the wrong orientation, take a look at this. It's $24.99 as well, which is pretty great. And it's got foldable prongs. What more could you want?
I agree. The foldable prongs, that's something like you can't cast aside. I love whenever they can just fold away. 12 South is really good at making, oh my goodness, look at it. It's so pretty. Is really good at making thoughtfully designed items, and ones that, they took the extra time to really make it work. There it is, being used as a MagSafe charger for folks who are watching, which is really nice. Wow, look at how thin it is. It's so pretty. Yeah. And it's not a wall wart.
Technically, it is a wall wart, but it just doesn't stick out as far as other wall wart.
Yeah, it's not a wall capital W wart.
Yes. There's a difference here. This is confusing. English. Who'd have thought?
Who'd have thunk that English would be a confusing language? All right, the next story is a really interesting one. I think we all kind of sat back with our popcorn and our gasps as we read through this story from Twitter about a person who tracked their stolen e-scooter using Apple's AirTags. Now, here's what's interesting. AirTags are not designed to be used for recovering lost items. In fact, Apple made some choices with AirTags in the interest of making sure that they were much harder to use as a way to stalk individuals, as a way to track individuals who didn't want to be tracked. They made some adjustments, or actually, I shouldn't say adjustments because most of these were already built in, including the fact that after your AirTag is out of the scope of your devices that are tracking it for a period of time, the AirTag will start to make a sounding noise so that people are aware that it is there. And then if you put it into what's called lost mode, or after also a period of time of it being separated from its owner, it will also pop up a notification on iOS devices and soon on Android devices that have a certain app, letting you know that an AirTag is traveling with you that doesn't belong to you. All of these are to make sure that these devices can't be used in ill-meaning ways to track someone who doesn't want to be tracked. But because of that, using them as a way to find a stolen item as opposed to a lost item, it makes it difficult. because the thief will at some point become aware of the fact that the AirTag is installed and is used in this device. So what happened here with this individual who had an e-scooter was he went ahead and said, you know what? I'm going to put 2 AirTags into my scooter. I'm going to put one that's sort of a decoy in a more open place. And I'm going to take a second one and put it inside of the handles of the e-scooter. And so even if the first one sounds and they find that and they remove it, then it will be much more difficult for them to find the second one. So let's, can we pop over to the thread here? Yeah, so the story goes on from Dan Guido talking about having it stolen and using the Find My network. Part of it was interesting, Rosemary, where Dan reached out to the police and said, hey, this was stolen. And because the police weren't really aware of AirTags / how they worked, they were a little bit wary about getting involved with helping to recover his lost scooter. And so he kind of had to go out on his own. You can see if you're watching, there's a photo of him with another kind of bike lock. What he was going to do was go with this lock and find the scooter and then lock it so that he could come back and get it later. And the reason why he had to do that is because he was about to leave on a flight. So it was like, I'm going to quickly try and find it. If I find it outside, I'll lock it with my own lock. So even if someone else has taken it and locked it, no worries. And ended up getting on the flight. So he comes back from the flight and uses the tracking to try and find it, and ends up discovering it. He thinks it might be inside of a kind of a bodega supermarket thingy. And he finally gets the police on board to go with him. They go inside of the supermarket. No, there's no scooter inside of the supermarket. Turns out next door to the supermarket is an e-bike sale shop. And inside of the e-bike sale shop are all of these clearly pre-owned and used scooters, of which one is his scooter. And he's able to pair with the scooter that is his, thereby showing that it is his, as well as being able to say, look, I've got an AirTag, that all of this is showing you that this is mine. And on top of it, they had cut the brakes and tried to kind of remove the handles of the scooter in the hope that they could get access to whatever was beeping inside of the scooter. So clearly they were trying to take it apart to find whatever was beeping. Or
I think it was officially the person who brought it in complained about the brakes. That was their official party line, because at some point there was also, if you read through, it's a really interesting thread to read through. The shop didn't want to hand over the CCTV and stuff like that. And they don't have the name of the person who dropped it off and stuff like that. It was clearly a front for selling stolen scooters. And I have to say, I'm slightly unsurprised at NYC with this because, it's going to happen in any large city, right? But one thing that he noted that he thought did help was he covered the front of the AirTag. Okay, so the AirTag has got 2 sides. You've got your shiny metal side and you've got your white side. There's a reason why I have this prop for today's episode. And that the speaker is in the white plastic side. Okay, so the shiny silver side's got the battery in it and the speaker is in this side. And he stuck black duct tape over the top of it, which A, helped it blend in with the scooter because the scooter's black, but B, it also muffled the sound, which helped because then they were less likely to hear it chirping. And quite frankly, if I was an employee in that store, I wouldn't care if stuff was beeping unless it was really bothering me. I'd probably just chuck some headphones in because that place isn't going to be around for very long. He got his scooter back, and the best part of it is obviously the brakes have been cut at some point. Ninebot are fixing it as well. I'm pleased for him in this case because it proves that AirTags can do great things.
Yes. I had talked about on, I think it was Smart Tech Today yesterday, I recently had a thief. So it was an interesting thing because I have a water delivery service. And so I can't remember how often it is, once a month or something, the water delivery service comes by and drops one of those 5-gallon bottles of water onto my porch. And then I bring it inside and put it into my water dispenser. And I was I woke up the other day and looked at my phone, and I had a notification that there was movement on my porch overnight. And I tweeted about this too, if you want to pull it up in a minute. But I looked on my phone and I saw someone walk onto my porch, and here is the GIF, walk onto my porch and proceed to walk away with a heavy as heck 5-gallon bottle of water. As I said in the tweet, if this person had asked for a 5-gallon bottle of water that costs like less than $10, I think it's like $5 at most, I would have given it to you. And not only that, but I would have helped you carry it. And for you to steal it off of my porch in the middle of the night. And then let's show this photo again. If you look closely, you can see under the front and back of this person's sweater is clearly some sort of rectangular item in the front side and the back side. And I would argue that this person was going around to different porches and stealing items off of their porches. Why they chose to steal a 5-gallon heavy
Maybe
as
they
heck.
thought it was gasoline or something.
Who knows? It's like, why? Anyway, so I was talking to my colleagues here at Twit about it, and I was like, honestly, it's such a little money. I'm upset that other people may have had their items stolen. And then I'm annoyed at the stupidity of stealing a 5-gallon bottle of water. That's my big thing in the end, is that I'm annoyed that somebody thought that was like worth their time and the calories that they burned in doing it. So anyway, that happened, but it made me kind of want to do my own little bit of tracking sleuthing.
So, Mikah, have you seen Mark Rober and the Glitter Bomb on YouTube?
Yes.
Because
everybody brings that up.
has done this with the Porch Pirates. He's done 3 versions of the Glitter Bomb now. There's fart spray and everything involved. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you've not seen the video, look up Mark Rober on YouTube and the Glitter Bomb videos. Also, for your entertainment, there's squirrel obstacle courses, which are
I
amazing,
loved that video. That was so awesome.
He's got a lot of really interesting things there. Yes. But there was also, I can't remember if I shared it with you, Mikah, the person who posted 3 AirTags. They posted one to Elon Musk, one to Tim Cook, and they posted one to Korea as well. And the one to Korea kind of disappeared. At least the first one did. But the one to Elon Musk was recycled, and the one that was sent to Tim Cook, Apple sent it back as requested in the letter. And it was tracked the entire way. So AirTags really are good at tracking stuff if you do want to put a fake parcel on your porch. But at the same time, I don't know what people are like around where you live. Are they nice people, or are they people where you're going to go, I think it's safer to not ask for my stuff back.
That's kind of how, I'm of mixed mind about that, because as someone had pointed out into the chat yesterday, and as I really do feel myself, I have a feeling this person lives on the property, because they're walking, there's no car around them. They're literally walking down the road, probably walked into their house with this bottle of water and everybody else's packages. So it would be helpful to know if that's the case, for the sake of letting the people who run the office, because I sent that video to the people who run my townhome complex to say, hey, if anybody mentions having packages stolen, here's some evidence of somebody doing it out on that night. And pointed out the fact that you could see packages, or you could see something. I don't know their packages, but you could see something shoved up underneath their shirt in the back. And then, of course, they were stealing from my porch. So anyway, that was all very interesting. And but I'm with you there. Like, part of me wants to do the whole thing, but part of me doesn't, because for me, it was a very low loss of funds. And so, why potentially run the risk of getting involved with that whenever, as Mr. Guido pointed out in his story, somebody from the shop came out and threatened him. They came out
said
and were
that
saying
he was going to regret him doing that, make him regret doing this, and stuff like that.
Yeah, pretty scary.
It's insane.
So, yeah. Anyway, moving on to the next one. I was curious about this because I wasn't quite sure what was involved here. Apple has released a developer tool that lets developers test an iOS 15 feature that prioritizes 5G over Wi-Fi. So I guess is this for developers who are trying to see how their apps perform on cellular and in particular 5G?
So basically with iOS 15, devices with 5G, so iPhone 12, 20, 21, iPad Pro can prioritize the 5G network when the Wi-Fi connection is either slow or maybe it's actually unsafe. For example, it's not a password protected network. And you may still want to be connected to that. A prime example would be my friend earlier today had his ISP turned off his internet. Obviously his home Wi-Fi was still up, but the internet was out for a good couple of hours while they did necessary maintenance work. So he wanted to be on 5G for, connecting to the internet and working and so on. But he also wanted to be on Wi-Fi because his Sonos speakers are on Wi-Fi and he wanted to be able to AirPlay to them. And he ended up deciding to turn Wi-Fi off and listen with AirPods, which, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's very much a first world problem that he had there. But this is basically a tool to allow developers to force test 5G over Wi-Fi, because I know where I live, I don't have 5G, but I do development. And it would be useful to be able to test this kind of feature to make sure that I can see how an app is going to perform if I was, say, connected to an unsafe Wi-Fi network here. And I did have 5G, instead of me having to go to Bristol or Bath or London for the day to test my 5G connection. That seems very inefficient.
Right.
So this basically allows developers to force that for that testing instead, because you might see problems over 5G that you don't see over Wi-Fi. Maybe something unexpected crops up. I know some location information is based on Wi-Fi networks and stuff, and so you've got to be careful how you do these things, and this just helps developers make sure it works.
Nice. All right, the next one is about Apple potentially, I think this sounds really interesting. Apple potentially using AirPods to test respiratory rate, or to gather information about respiratory rate, along with other methods of testing respiratory rate, which they do with the Apple Watch and overnight sleep. It turns out that the AirPods could be used to help understand the respiratory rate of individuals.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, all of the ability to collect health data from our devices is useful, even if the data itself is is off by a little bit. Say, for example, it was measuring your heart rate and your heart rate was consistently off by, say, 1 BPM. In tests, I was in hospital last year and so on, and they hooked me up to some monitors and stuff, and I could see that my Apple Watch was 100% accurate. But knowing what the baseline is on a device and then being able to see, hey, something changed, that could be an important indicator that something is wrong. So the more data we can collect and know when something is off, the more likely it is that people will hopefully get checked out at the beginning of a problem rather than when it gets potentially too late to do anything.
And I continue to be interested in how Apple is, because I think that when you combine different devices together to test this data, and they all know that they're all keeping track of this data, then they can purpose check one another back and forth, and you get more accurate data in that way. As long as everything's working as it should. It can lead to inaccuracies, but the hope is that it leads to better, more accurate data by having kind of multiple sources of information and using those all to inform. So pretty cool stuff, and might have us all wearing our AirPods even more than we do already. Even though there have been at this point like 50 of those stories about some person accidentally swallowing one of their AirPods, I may or may not wear an AirPod at night while I'm sleeping because I listen to audiobooks. So hopefully I never end up being one of those people, because then I'll have to move to Florida so that I can be Florida man who swallows an AirPod, because it can't be California man who swallows an AirPod. All right, moving on to the next one, which is that it appears that a certain company that manufactures iPhones and other devices for Apple, called Foxconn, is set to begin building an electric vehicle factory in the United States in 2022. Or is it 2022? Yeah.
And with hopes of being operational in 2023. You know, Micah, when a company that builds iPhones says that they are going to be building a factory to produce electric cars, I kind of have to presume that they're going to be doing this for Microsoft or Tesla, maybe Google. They're yeah,
that's got to be Google.
Or maybe, I don't know, maybe this is way out there.
Okay.
Maybe it's Apple.
Could it be Apple?
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Apple's been rumored to maybe be working on an electric vehicle. Maybe it's Apple.
The person who was previously in charge of watchOS on the Apple Watch got moved to be in charge of the Apple Car department that doesn't exist.
Yeah, this is all very interesting.
This is very suspicious. I mean, all we have to go on is the data that it's been announced that they will be building electric vehicle manufacturing plant in the US. And we know that Foxconn build iPhones. Yeah. Now, I'm sure Foxconn build many more things than iPhones, but they are apparently doing mass production in the US and Thailand from 2023 onwards. And that is very interesting. Very interesting. Maybe the Apple Car is closer than people think, or maybe it's just a different kind of smart car. And when I say smart car, I don't mean the two-seater kind of car that looks like it's been cut in half, but it does fit into a lot more parking spaces than a regular car because it's smaller.
Yes, it's much easier to squeeze in somewhere. All right. And then the last one here is another country adding support for storing your COVID passes in your Apple Wallet. Spain has joined the fun. So now in Spain, you can, double tap the side button to bring up your Apple Wallet, and one of those can be your vaccine record.
Yes.
We talked, was that just last week where we showed folks how to? Yeah. So if you want to, you can check out last week's episode where we showed folks how to set up a vaccine passport of their own. That's just a term, by the way. It's not really what they're called, but set up proof of vaccination with Apple Wallet. And I showed it with the California they issue a QR code that is called a smart card code. That's capital SMART, which is an actual health record, verifiable health record. And so someone could scan that QR code to confirm that I do indeed have both of my vaccines and am fully cooked, as it were.
I do just want to make a note on these passes because we talked about it last week. That depending on where you are, where you're going, etc., you may need to get a different pass to whatever your local one is for travel. I say this as somebody who, fingers crossed, if everything stays safe, will be going to France next month. And the NHS app in the UK, which does offer you the COVID pass that you can add to Apple Wallet, has a domestic one, which is one you can add to Apple Wallet, and they also have a international travel one where if you're going anywhere outside the UK, you need a different one. And so I just want to suggest that people take a look around and dig. And I also discovered this week why people really, really want this. It's because apparently your US physical vaccine cards are big and unwieldy.
They
Ours
are
credit card size over here. So mine's just in my wallet behind a 3D printed AirTag holder that I put in there.
It's unreasonable, and there's arguments that there's suggestions that it had to do with paper folks. What is the word I'm looking for? Like lobbies, essentially, so that the paper
Big paper.
Thank you. That is precisely what I was looking for, Anthony. Big Paper wanted to basically get that CDC contract for the stupid vaccine cards, and they could use more. There are also arguments that it has to do with what was it? It was a really funny. This one isn't real. It was just a funny one. Oh yeah, a cohort of Etsy creators who came together to make this happen, so that you had to buy a custom vaccine card holder from Etsy. And yeah, it's really annoying that they're like postcard sized when there's no reason for them to be. Sorry, I'm a little salty about it.
My Austrian vaccine book was kind of passport size, but that was supposed to have your entire vaccine history in it. And it was a book, not an individual piece of paper. And I'm not sure what they're doing right now, but I know over here in the UK, I was just given a credit card size card. And depending on where you got, your 5G upgrade, just kidding. It doesn't actually give you 5G, just for anybody who's not sure. It doesn't do any of those bad things. It literally helps reduce how badly coronavirus can affect you if you get it. That's what a vaccine is for. Over here, you could have a sticker on it. You could have handwriting. It might be a stamp. It varies. I've got stickers on mine. I got lucky, I guess. I got stickers and they're nice and readable.
Yes. All right. Moving on to our next segment of the show, which means up next is Shortcuts Corner. Whoa! Folks, it is time for Shortcuts Corner, the part of the show where you write in with your shortcuts questions and Rosemary gives you her shortcuts answer. Our Shortcuts Corner question today comes from Terry. Terry writes in, "Hello, Rosemary and Mikah." Hello, Terry. "I was listening to episode 559 and heard you mention my shortcut problem. I am linking the shortcut and a screenshot of the alarms I created to make the shortcut work. Can't wait to hear from you about this shortcut."
All right. Well, I downloaded Terry's shortcut here so that I can actually show everybody what he did. So for anybody who doesn't remember, Terry needed different alarms for breaks depending on what kind of shift he was working. And so he's got a menu here. So if I were to run this, then it would come up with A break alarms, B break alarms, and reset all of the alarms. And he's basically just numbered all of his alarms so that he has alarms at different times. And then he can turn the ones that he needs for one break on and turn the ones that he needs for another break off. And then basically it'll turn on one set of alarms or the other set of alarms, and then reset just turns off all the alarms. And this is a really great approach that you take in here, Terry. It's very easy to see exactly what you've been doing. The only tip I would give you is, obviously you've got, what alarm one and everything is, but instead you could create an alarm. And then you could give it a specific name, and I need to type in the alarm here because I have a lot of create options. If you use the create alarm feature, then you can create an alarm with, say, for example, A break 1. And then if you ever need to change A break 1, then it's very easy and you don't have to remember what is what. But there we go. That's a really simple solution.
Currently, what the shortcut is doing is it's looking into the clock app and finding alarms that have this name, and then versus your suggestion, which is where it would create new alarms without you having to first look into the clock app for it.
Yeah. So it really depends on how you're doing things. The screenshots that Terry included were just of the alarm app. And so he's got alarms for different times, like 3 a.m., 7:07 a.m., 7:47 a.m., etc. And just make sure that he gets all of his breaks. So it's entirely possible that in his original shortcut, the things weren't called alarm 1 and so on. But as you can see, I've got a whole bunch of alarms. I've got 3 bedtime alarms somehow. I'm not quite sure how that happened. I think that's because I'm running betas. I'm always running betas. My life is a beta. As you can see, the background's just gone black, but the foreground is still in light mode because iOS beta, and that's life. But yes, so it's entirely possible that he's got these named, but I really hope that this gives somebody else some inspiration, because you don't have to make a super fancy, super optimized shortcut. You can just create a shortcut that does exactly what you need it to do.
Excellent. Sorry, now I'm typing.
Well, what I'm going to do actually, Mike, is something that was inspired by you earlier this week, because you sent me a message and you said, hey, I created some custom icons for my shortcuts and I'm really happy with how they turned out. And I thought, you know what? This is a great opportunity to show people how you can add a shortcut to your home screen, what kind of shortcut you might like on your home screen, and of course, how you can do a custom icon for it. So to start with, I'm actually going to swipe up and go to my home screen. If you look down here in the bottom left, I have a purple Safari icon. Now, for people who don't know on Mac OS, Purple Safari is the developer version. Purple is also my favorite color, which is why I wanted this. But when I tap this, it opens DuckDuckGo. So it opens a brand new page in Safari with DuckDuckGo, because I don't know about you, Mikah, but I get distracted so easily from what I'm doing. It's unbelievable. So I'll open Safari and it'll be, oh yeah, and here's the tab earlier with the shoes that I was looking at. And 45 minutes later, I've still not Googled how to cook the beef that I was trying to make for dinner or whatever it was. So I have a shortcut for this. I believe if I type for Safari, there we go, open Safari. Okay, this is my shortcut. Okay, it's called Open Safari, and it opens DuckDuckGo.com. And that's it. Okay, you could have it open Google.com or Bing.com, whatever you like. You could have it open, I don't know, say your campus university page if you wanted to. You could have it open whatever you like. And you can do this actually to make custom app icons as well with the Open App Action. And so there's an Open App Action and you can just select an app. So say, for example, you are a big lover of Airtable, but you hate their icon. You could do this and change their icon. I'm going to get rid of that though. And then what you need to do is you need to share your shortcut and you'll just want to put it on your home screen. So sorry, sharing is at the bottom, and then you go down and you go to add to home screen. Now you can see I've got my default shortcuts icon here, which is pink, and it's a stack icon, which looks the same as the shortcuts icon. And then I can go ahead and choose a photo. And I've got, there we go, perfect. I have a countdown from a while ago that I took for my holiday, and I'm going to use this as my app icon. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit to make this an app icon. Now, it's not perfect. You could make an icon for this, but I'm just going to choose one. And then I tap add, and that's it. I'm done. And now if I swipe back, then I will just pop this on a different page. There we go. Perfect. So now I have opened Safari. Now, in shortcuts, where I go to add this to the home screen, when I tap on add to home screen, I can also rename this. Okay, so I could call this Safari if I wanted to. You can call it anything you like. It's going to be really useful if you have a family member who is still learning how to change to a different application. So say, for example, you switch them from Mail to the Gmail app, but they keep opening the Mail app. And you don't want to uninstall it in case you really do need to direct them to it at some point, but you don't want them using it anymore. Well, you could create a Mail app which actually opens Gmail and just hide the Mail app in the app library. But now when I tap this, it opens Safari and DuckDuckGo. Now, this time it loaded much faster, and that's because I've only got one DuckDuckGo tab. Okay, I'll just do this again to prove it. Look, one DuckDuckGo tab, because it knows that I already had DuckDuckGo open. So it's not going to duplicate that tab, giving me hundreds of thousands of open Safari tabs that I don't need. I do have settings auto clear out my Safari tabs after a week, because otherwise I have hundreds. Oh my God, it's so bad, Mikah. But this is a great way to work around that issue, I find. And it makes sure that I don't get distracted. I'm always going to search for something or type in the URL bar, which is somewhat conveniently at the bottom in iOS 15. Not 100% sure about that yet, but at least they've now stuck it to the keyboard. I have thoughts about iOS 15. I've submitted them through apple.com/feedback, as everybody should, or the feedback app on their phone if they want to send something to Apple. But yeah, this is how you can add an icon. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about shortcuts apps, and I do just want to mention Toolbox Pro. And if we search for icon here, and you can see I can actually create an icon with Toolbox Pro, and you can create, say, a basic icon with confirm or something, or you can create an advanced icon. And this allows you to insert an SF symbol, San Francisco fonts, or you can do an emoji where you just type in an emoji. So say, for example, this emoji here, and it will automatically do all of this information with the background color and so on. You can customize that if you want. Of course, I managed to crash shortcuts because there we go. Okay, I'll just tap allow. And that's not going to work because I need to make sure I show my results if it's going to crash out of shortcuts. So let's just add that there. And this time when I run it, I have an icon. Voila.
Yay.
And that's very cute. And I love it. And if I just switch back to light mode, then you'll see it's got those rounded off corners as well automatically. And this is something you can do with Toolbox Pro if you want to create lots of custom icons for your home screen.
Beautiful. There you go. All right, let us move on to feedback and questions. We've got one from Joseph. Looks like we're having a little bit of an issue that maybe we can help solve. Is there, I'm going to read it very dramatically, is there any logic or explanation as to how a downloaded podcast, parentheses twit, won't play without the phone being connected to cellular? Should I be outraged against the tech machine? I'm using the stock podcast app on my iPhone XR. Joseph, sounds like there's something buggy going on.
Yeah, it really does. And so I did some digging around. I was not able to replicate this on my iPhone, but I'm running iOS 15, so I have different things that are broken. And I think that the problem here is going to be a bug. I suspect what it is the podcast app is going to be checking in the background to make sure that the episode that is about to play for you is still available. Okay, because especially if you have podcasts not keep like all of the downloaded episodes of a show, maybe it just keeps the most recent one, then it's going to want to check that. And I suspect that somewhere something has gone wrong and it's prioritizing cellular over Wi-Fi and saying, go check this over cellular. And then, of course, it doesn't work because your cellular is turned off. Now, of course, one solution to this is just don't turn your cellular data off. But I'm guessing there's a reason for that. So I would suggest, because you're experiencing this issue, Joseph, and if anybody else is experiencing this as well, then, make sure to check, of course, that the episode is actually downloaded on your device. It's already downloaded and it's there. Try putting your device in airplane mode.
We should clarify there. Well. Whenever we say that, the Apple has kind of rearranged and rethought the way that people get podcasts. And even if in the past, Joseph, you may have been getting downloads, it's possible that with the new way of them doing things with this follow button and the ability to stream, that you are not currently getting the download. So that whenever Rosemary says that, don't immediately go, oh, I know it's downloaded. Check to make sure that it's downloaded, because it might not be because of the way that things have changed. All right, continue. You were about to talk about airplane mode.
Just to make sure, if you're in, I've got Mac Break Weekly, which came out a couple of days ago, Tuesday. If you tap on the three dots to the right hand side of the episode, you can see now it says remove download. Previously, it said download episode because the episode was not downloaded. So double check there to make sure. And make sure that it's actually downloaded. You can also check in the settings as well if you're following the show, and then settings where you can say automatic downloads. And this is what I was talking about here with the limit downloads. If you have most recent, it's always going to very aggressively check before you start playing an episode that it's the most recent one. But if this is not, and if it's still happening, you definitely check that it's downloaded. Try putting airplane mode on, because that obviously will disable cellular, and see if the issue continues. Because here, when I tap play, I see Leah chatting away, no problem. And I had the same thing where I just had cellular turned off. When I hit play, it just continued. Obviously, this is now buffered because I've got that downloaded. But if this continues and you still have a problem, Joseph, then I would highly recommend contacting Apple. You can either do this through apple.com/feedback, or you could contact Apple support, though don't expect anything from their support as to fixes. They will walk you through a bunch of things, probably try to get you to reset your iPhone for this. And so it depends on whether or not you think resetting your iPhone is worth it to be able to watch iOS Today and This Week in Tech in general, all the shows on the network. I would suggest probably not. I mean, I know our shows are great, but you can just turn cellular off.
Yeah, there are better ways to fix it. Exactly.
Yeah, you could create a shortcut, actually, which whenever you open the app, turns on your cellular data. And then, when you close the app, it turns it back off if you want to. That's something you could do. I would suggest double check, make sure the episode is fully downloaded, make sure that you're try it with airplane mode. If airplane mode works, then that suggests that there's a bug. And if there is a bug, contact Apple and let them know, because they can't fix it if they don't know about it.
All right. That brings us to the end of the feedback, which means, what's that sound? It's time for App Caps. Yes, folks, this is the part of the show where we wear silly caps atop our head to honor our app picks of the week. These are the apps or items that we are really enjoying and want to share with all of you to tell you about so that you too can download them or if you choose, purchase them. And so, let me place this cap atop my head to prepare for the show. I don't really know what I'm working with here. For folks who are tuning in, I have some sort of hat.
That is amazing.
It's got bows on it and this really interesting lace.
And it's got braiding as well. And it's got bias trim. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is just a fabulous hat, Micah.
It might be for sort of running with the bulls or something.
Yeah. I was going to say bullfighting or something.
Or if I played Carmen. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, Rosemary Orchard, tell us about the cap atop your head and tell us about your app pick of the week.
The cap atop my head is a pink glittery cowboy hat because cowboy hats alone, not good enough for me this week. It had to be pink. It had to shed glitter everywhere so that I will never get glitter out of my house. And it's wonderful. Just like the app I'm going to talk about, except it's not really an app that I'm going to talk about. It's stickers. It's iMessage Stickers because who doesn't love iMessage Stickers and who doesn't love Ted Lasso? Because look, I've got Keely here from Ted Lasso and she's sending Micah the peace symbol. And Apple released this week a free sticker pack for Ted Lasso stickers. And you can download it in the App Store. It's free. And there's, some stickers. So if you want to be able to send your friends Believe, you can do that. You can send them a scarf that says football is life. A very weird looking cup of tea. A mug should be full flag height. Apple, come on. Like people over here consume tea in pints. Not pint glasses, but a pint mug. But anyway, no, it's usually better than that. At least people say so. I don't like tea myself. But of course, don't forget, you can send a sticker. But then you could say, tap something out and drag it over. So Ted can be wearing some ridiculous sunglasses and an extra large mustache because why don't you need that? And I love this. And of course, don't forget that you can resize things and swivel where appropriate. So you can say, Believe. And so Micah now has that coming through his iMessage, making distractions for him because why doesn't he need more distractions while he's podcasting?
True, especially if they're Ted Lasso distractions.
Oh, I know.
Well, that is fun. I will definitely be getting that app later or that sticker pack later and making use of some of those stickers. The app that I want to talk about is an Apple Arcade app. It's a game, and it is called Mini Motorways. And Mini Motorways is a little sort of resource management game where where your goal is to. Oh, I guess this might be difficult because it's got to be landscape. Anthony has it covered. All right, so I'll tap play. And you start out, of course, with a trial, and then there's also a daily challenge. Not trial, but what's the word I'm looking for? A tutorial. I'm past the tutorial. The best I've gotten in Los Angeles was 886. And there are 3 different options here. So I'm just going to tap play on Los Angeles. And we start with 1 red building and 1 red house. The goal here is to connect the building to the house. So I will tap on my roads. I will tap in to start editing. And then I will connect the roads to my houses here. And we need to get those red cars into that building. Now, as you continue to play the game, you will see more buildings pop up. Over time, the map gets a little bit bigger, and so you will end up needing to have a bridge to cross the Los Angeles River there. But starting out, you're just kind of working with these couple of houses here. And there are also resources, including a roundabout and stop lights or signals, traffic signals, that you get as you play. Now, what's fun is that at the end of the week, it will pop up with your choice of these different things. And depending on your choice, you will get more or less tiles, road tiles, to be able to build out your city. As you're going, you might decide I want to pause and I actually want to redecorate here. So I can tap on the house and bring it up, and I can hit that trash can button to readjust my roads so that they are connected to each other, and I can start to build out kind of a neighborhood, because I imagine there will be more houses soon joining the ranks. So now the roads have been adjusted. And if you edit a road that a car is already on, it will turn gray until they're off of that road, at which point it will adjust. And now look, I'm starting to have some blue things. So I might pause again. I could fast forward as well. And I think I'll change it so that the house is facing toward the blue building, and we'll just run a road directly across to that. And then we'll see kind of how things carry on here. If I'm going to end up needing to make adjustments to the road, see, there we go. So what it's looking like is we might be building out a neighborhood over here. So I think what I'll do is change my cars like that. I'll take the road, make some adjustments here so that we angle down and through. And now those both have access to the building they need to get to for work. I'm hitting that fast forward button so we can kind of see things move along. Now, the way that you lose this game is do you see these little pins that are popping up over the buildings? These little pins are sort of locales. These are the place that the car is trying to get to. If the entire rounded rectangle on top of the building fills with pins, a timer pops up. And if that timer fills entirely, then you have lost the game. So the goal is to keep people moving along the roads and getting to where they need to go without letting that get filled up. And as your city gets more congested and you get more colors involved, of course, that gets more complicated. And so the most trips that I've been able to make so far is 836. As Knox Harrington has pointed out in the Discord chat, this game gets really stressful after a while. It absolutely does get really stressful after a while because you've just got all of these cars flying everywhere. And then you're like, I don't understand why these ones aren't moving faster. Why is everything congested here? If I draw it this way, will that make it better? And then sometimes the cars won't go down certain roads that you think they would. And that's because it's calculating sort of the slowest or the best route that it can take. And you're like, well, clearly I'm not good at calculating the best route you can take. So I think I will choose, because I haven't really done with roundabouts, you have to give them a good amount of space for them to be very helpful. And I kind of tend to be a little bit picky about how my roads are set up. So I tend to go for the signals. And you'll notice that there wasn't much of a trade-off there, whether I chose traffic signals or I chose the roundabout. I got about the same amount of road tiles. And check this out. Because I properly predicted how that house was going to be dropped, it automatically connected it to my roads. So I didn't even have to go over and add any road editing to that. So the only thing that I want to do is give my red cars another road to follow to get to this other red building. So the best way to go about doing that looks like, or one of the ways to go about doing that, I should say, is to make a kind of offshoot here that we can then follow down to this new building. And you can see I've only got 19 road tiles left, and we'll go ahead and hit fast forward and we'll see how these cars, so that one red car chose to go that way. Look at that. I've got a red house that is not connected to the rest of my red buildings. So I have a couple of options here. I can either go to the left and down to keep the reds kind of separated from the blue, or I can do an offshoot on the blue road to give the reds a place to go down. I think for now what I'm going to do is give them a connection to the red here. And now you see I've got an intersection, which I could then add a traffic signal if I wanted to. I'm not going to do that yet, but I will at some point. And then the game goes on like this. There are more colors that get added over time: red, blue, green, yellow, orange, etc. And you just are trying to get your roadways built out in a way that makes sense and keeps you keeps your cars plugging along. For
anybody who thinks that they've seen this app before, something incredibly similar, you might be thinking of Mini Metro, which is from the same developer and is also available as Mini Metro Plus on Apple Arcade.
There you go. Mini Motorways available in Apple Arcade for $4.99 per month after a trial if you've not tried out Apple Arcade yet. And that is my app cap, which means we've reached the end of another episode of iOS Today. Folks, if you have questions, feedback, shortcuts, requests, any of those things and more, send those to us. iOS Today at twit.tv. You can also tweet at us with the hashtag AskIOSToday or message us or simply send a message into the Discord under the channel hashtag iOS-today. We record the show live on Fridays, every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, which is a great way to tune in the show and see how we're recording it live. We had some setup before the show today that folks seem to be interested in. That is available at twit.tv/live. But the best way we think to get the show is by subscribing to the show, which you do by going to twit.tv/iOS, where you can subscribe to the show in audio and video formats across all sorts of providers. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you are, we try to be. So you can find it there at twit.tv/iOS. I should mention, we have this great thing, and I mentioned Discord earlier. How do you get to be a part of the Discord? Well, by supporting the Twit network. And by doing so, you are also going to be getting some pretty cool stuff. Yes, Club Twit is that way of supporting us. For $7 a month, you get all of the shows ad-free, completely ad-free. You get access to a Twit Plus bonus feed that has content you won't find anywhere else. Lots of fun stuff there, including pre-show and post-show stuff, as well as access to the members-only Discord server, where you can chat with hosts, producers, other folks here at Twit, as well as your fellow Club Twit members. It's really awesome. We love it. And we love having you there for $7 a month, twit.tv/clubtwit. If that sounds awesome to you, we would love it if you joined us and give us a warm, fuzzy feeling for supporting the network and supporting us. Rosemary Orchard, if folks would like to follow you online, where do they go to do so?
Easiest place is rosemaryorchard.com, which has links to podcasts, books, my Twitter, and micro.blog, which can be found with the username Rosemary Orchard. And of course, you can also find me in the Twit Discord, where I will be looking and watching out for all of those amazing questions. Somebody's got a question about triggering their ALEXA devices in shortcuts, which I'm going to look into for next week.
Nice. And I can be found at Micah Sargent on many a social network, or you can head to chihuahua.coffee. That's CHIHUAHUA.coffee, where I've got links to the places I'm most active online. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for tuning in to iOS Today. We will see you next week. Goodbye.
You may have heard about this story, but are you familiar with the story behind the story? Well, every week on Tech News Weekly, my co-host Micah Sargent and I, Jason Howell, speak to the people who are making and breaking the biggest tech news of the week. We're talking with journalists, we're talking with industry veterans, often we're talking with the people who are responsible for the story. Don't miss Tech News Weekly at twit.tv.